What's up, beautiful people? What's up, fellow Mets fans? How y'all doing? We're back for our weekly live. Excuse me, the beard, stash. Haven't shaved yet, but anyway, new weekend, new show. You know what the show's about. As you guys tuned in, fast last couple of weeks, talking Mets. Just waiting on Justin to connect. Here we go. Start talking about how is everybody doing. Mark, Kyle, Justin, what's up, buddy?
What's up? How are you?
Good, man. How are you? How are you?
I, I am doing very well. What's going on, everyone in the chat? What's up, Rudy?
So let's get into it, man. Let's start off by talking who we kind of talked about last week, Bauer, and what's going on with all the Twitter news and him and Syndergaard going back and forth. Man, let me tell you, after about a week of this show or a week and a half now, I'm so glad that he's not a Met.
Right?
Man,
Exactly. Especially with everything that happened with Syndergaard. Something happened with Stroman today too. So it's so happy he's not with us. Thank you, Dodgers, for making him the highest paid player in baseball.
right? I think we dodged a bullet there. I mean, I don't know if I could stand another basic, I don't know, superstar in the New York region market. Just like Odell, because when the Giants had Odell, it was a circus, and no way I could stand that with the Mets, especially what they're trying to do. Thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah, that guy gets one, New York Post or Daily News front page that like Matt Harvey got when he was getting roasted, and he's done here. He wouldn't have taken it. So thank God he's not here.
Yeah, thank God he's not here. The other thing I want to touch on, man, spring training, people basically already reported. We saw Lindor out there, man. How nice does he look in orange and blue? That was awesome to see.
Yeah, he looks perfect in orange and blue, way better than the Indians colors. So very happy he's with us. Took some ground balls. He had a little funny Instagram post with Gio Urshela, who's the Yankees third baseman, or they're best friends, and he posts his first post with him like at spring training with the Mets, and Urshela just goes okay, and he's like bye, so that was funny, but he looks great. Steve Cohen was in spring training too, so interesting things here. Of course, you've got the extension looming, so we'll see. Hopefully, they can get that done before the season. But that's a big story.
But yeah, I hope they get an extension going there, and I mean talks are probably going to come soon, and like we talked in other lives, that's probably going to happen before spring training ends, and hopefully they get Conforto done and over with as well. We definitely need to sign those two probably for the next together probably for the next 6 or 5 6 years, I would say. Lindor needs to be locked up for the next 10. Conforto probably about 6 year deal, I would say. What do you feel on that end as far as the Conforto deal?
Yeah, Conforto's probably 6 or 7 years. I know SNY wrote something about offering him 175 million. I'd be fine with that. If that keeps him off the market, great. Lindor might actually be more than 10 after that Tatis deal. These stars are getting more than 10 years. Harper I think he got 13. Tatis got 14. Betts got 13, I believe. So Lindor might be 11 or 12. Um, so might be a little longer. That's fine. Um, so yeah, they've got to be Mets for a long time. The Mets, I mean, they essentially chose Conforto over Springer earlier this offseason by not, signing Springer, not outbidding Toronto for him. So they've got to extend him. He's probably the most likely out of the two to hit free agency, simply because the outfield market is really bad next year. He might be the only good outfielder available, or one of the few. So that's not saying him hitting free agency doesn't mean he's not going to resign. It just might be a dragged out process. and he's a Boras client, so they tend to hit free agency. But we'll see. I think eventually he extends. Lindor, I think, will extend. I mean, we're not talking about them, but Syndergaard and Stroman are also free agents after this year. So those are two others. I think, you know, we're talking about these extensions, and I wouldn't be shocked if they went ahead and extended Syndergaard, really, because he's coming off Tommy John. So you might be able to get him at a lesser rate. You know, it kind of depends if you want security. Would you offer him like a 3-year, 4-year deal? 3 years, like $45 million. It's $15 million a year for Syndergaard. That's pretty cheap for a guy like him. That'd be interesting. Stroman, I don't know. We talked about this last week. He's probably the most likely of the guys to leave, but we'll see. So interesting things.
Yeah, and you know, one thing I do want to touch on is that, you know, their age. Syndergaard is only 28. Conforto is only 27, and Lindor is the same age as Conforto. So if we sign those three, you know, hopefully we do, and they'll be with the team for the next 4 years, 4 years, I would say. That would be great. And then we've also heard DeGrom already talk about, you know, him probably wanting to stay as a Met for the rest of his career, and what he saw, you know, David Wright went through, which he said was awesome, and who wouldn't want to be treated that way, which he was right, you know, and I hope that happens.
Yeah, that's another guy we're probably talking about extending next offseason, next spring training, because he has an opt-out after next year. So we'll see if the Mets extend him. You know, you're talking about paying DeGrom more than Bauer, who I don't think anybody would have, or similar to Bauer, I don't think anybody would have an issue with that. But we're talking about extending 4 guys this year. Next year, we're going to be talking about DeGrom. So see what happens there.
Yeah. So let's touch on the rotation that we got going right now. You know, who do you think is going to fill out the back end of that rotation? Who's going to be our 4th and 5th? Do you think Walker and that other who's the guy we traded for the Marlins? I forgot. I always forget his name.
Yamamoto?
Yeah, him. Do you think they're going to be in both in the rotation, only one of them? And then where do you see Peterson fill in?
Well, Walker's going to be in the rotation. They didn't sign him, give him $10 million a year to not be in the rotation. He's going to be the 4th starter on opening day. The 5th starter, it seems like they want Peterson to earn it. They're kind of doing this thing with him where they're setting him up to like, okay, we're not going to give you this job, but we want you to earn it. Now he's going to be battling with Yamamoto and Lucchesi. Lucchesi probably has a better shot than Yamamoto. Lucchesi, quite frankly, is probably the better pitcher. But what's good about this is all 3 are good MLB pitchers, in my opinion, or have the potential to be. So Yamamoto, him and Lucchesi, they didn't have good numbers last year in the shortened season, but the year before that, they were both solid. I think Yamamoto his ERA was around league average. Lucchesi was low 4s. So that's good to have that as depth. Before, the Mets were having quadruple A guys as depth, and they would come up and just get rocked. I don't think that happens this year, which is awesome. But again, also, this is, if Syndergaard is back in June, this is like a mandatory, temporary 5th starter spot, because when Syndergaard is back, Walker's the 5th starter and Syndergaard slots in. You know, so I wonder if they feel like it's better to have Peterson in Syracuse and have him develop there. It's very interesting. I ultimately probably, the best starter of Peterson, Lucchesi, Yamamoto is the 5th starter in spring training. The best starter in spring training is the 5th starter. But we'll see. It's a lot of interesting questions about the rotations, and what's positive is it's a lot of depth. We're talking about, 3 guys who all could be in a major league rotation, and they may not be by June, so it's good to see.
Yeah, and Matt, just to get to some of the comments here, Matt here is saying, "Don't rush Noah back." I'm 100% on board with that, Matt. We have the depth now to where we don't need to do that. Hopefully, Yamamoto and also Peterson and Walker collab to take up those fourth and fifth, spots to where we don't need to rush Noah back. And let's not also take away or the importance of them being effective. Because if they do take the fourth and fifth spots and they're not effective, then what good is it having them in the fourth and fifth spot? Charlie says DeGrom is going to be a Met for life. I sure hope so, man, because I can't see him pitch anywhere else, and I don't want to face him. That'll be horrible. Charlie also just added Thor has a ton to prove. He's not just going to be the number 3. Yeah, I mean,
And
well,
when Thor is back, he's in the rotation.
yeah,
Whether
yeah,
it's the
period.
3 or the 4, he's in the rotation. So
Yeah,
it really doesn't matter. He's in the
yeah,
rotation. He's back.
yeah. I mean, he's gonna be in the rotation no matter what, just because he built that and he deserves a shot. He should be number 3, period, because he's better than the fourth or fifth starter we're gonna have anyway. So he's gonna be the number 3. I should slot him into number 3. Um, so there was another topic we want to talk about, and I'm sorry that I don't remember what it was. You want to go ahead and bring it up, man?
Uh, well, it was Bauer, fifth starter competition, Taiwan Walker. So Taiwan Walker,
Yeah.
we got another comment here from Matt. Let me check this out. Stroman also has a lot to prove. I mean, the 3.7 ERA, which is what he had that year, is perfectly fine. So he slots in as the third starter behind DeGrom and Carrasco, and we'll see. He's got some questions. He didn't pitch last year, but when he came to the Mets, he struggled that first month, and then the last month he was fantastic. I think in September he had an ERA around 2. So he's a perfectly good, fine starting pitcher. I mean, these guys really. I guess what you can say about Stroman is he has something to prove because he didn't pitch last year, but he's established as a good kind of mid to back end starting pitcher. And Syndergaard is also established as a good mid rotation pitcher with a chance to be higher. So that's what these guys are. It would be crazy to expect like a 2.5 ERA from Stroman. He's never been that.
Mm-hmm.
Also would be crazy to expect that from Syndergaard, his first year back from Tommy John. But these are guys that, especially Stroman, his ERA should be around the mid to high 3s. It's where he's always been. And he's gonna throw a lot of innings. He's gonna eat innings, and he's gonna keep the Mets in the ball game, and that's perfectly fine. As a 3 starter, who when Syndergaard is back is probably your 4. So perfectly fine for him. But back to Walker.
Let me add to that before you go to Walker.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, this isn't a lineup or offense where we can't score runs anymore. This changed now from 3 years ago. It's not so much what they can do for us as what we can do for them. Because if we can put up, I don't know, let's put 5-6 runs, and they're averaging a 3.5 ERA, more than likely you're going to get a win unless the other lineup is just putting up runs and not scoring us. So our lineup has completely changed. This team has changed now. It's not so much, like I said, what they can do for us. It's the other way around now. It's what we can do for them. So that's and don't be surprised if Stroman gets better because I don't know if you saw the spring training video where he was just kneeling behind DeGrom and just smiling and giddy behind what he was seeing. Don't think these guys talk, and he'll probably improve because he has DeGrom. He'll see stuff and pick up stuff that he probably wouldn't have seen or picked up anywhere else. So don't take that lightly.
Yeah, and Charlie has a good comment here about Stroman and Noah, if he's pitching well, being the 4th starter. I mean, that's the best case scenario. What you want is, the top 3 is, DeGrom is in the Cy Young race, Carrasco's what he's been, Stroman's pitching really well, and Syndergaard is your 4th starter. That's exactly what you want. That's best case scenario. And Matt, who do you use as a closer? Diaz is the closer. I'm of the belief that there really should not be a set-in closer, if that makes sense. Like in the 8th inning, and you're playing the Braves, and Albies, Acuna, and Freeman are due up, bring your best reliever in then. And then if you can use Diaz in the 8th, and then Trevor May in the 9th. You can do it like that. But you make a great point about DeGrom. a lot of guys are going to be better because of DeGrom. So that helps. I know Steven Matz had no, it was Zach Wheeler, where he attributed his breakout season from DeGrom because he learned how to command his fastball glove side, in on lefties away from righties. So that was a big deal for him. But let's go to Walker now. John said here, Taijuan and Cy Young discussion. I like it. You might not like what I have to say next. If for Walker, he's really a back end guy. 2.7 ERA last year, really nice. Some of the peripherals don't agree with that. They think his ERA really should have been, his true talent really was around league average ERA, which is 4.4. But he's a good signing because you add another major league arm into a rotation. He's going to be your fourth starter opening day. And he hasn't thrown a lot of innings recently, but he has a lot of upside. He's got good stuff, fastball, curveball. His curveball is a fantastic pitch. Was really good for the Blue Jays when he was traded there last year. I think his ERA was under 2. But I would pump the brakes on Walker a bit if you're expecting him to be like, talking about like where DeGrom and Scherzer and Kershaw is. I would pump the brakes on that. I'm not sure I don't think he's going to be in the Cy Young discussion, but he is your fine fourth starter that has upside and is likely going to be a fine pitcher. His career ERA is 3.84, I believe. I would be very happy with that. That's a really good fourth starter if his ERA is around 3.8. So it's a nice signing. This is not a signing the Wilpons would have made. They would have finished with the rotation and would have been okay. Peterson is our 4, and one of Lucchesi and Yamamoto is our 5. That's it. But with Cohen, it's like, okay, we need one more guy. Let's get Walker in there because injuries are going to happen too. So you add him, Walker's in the rotation, and Peterson, whoever wins the 5th spot, is fine there. And then eventually you get Syndergaard.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't take it so much more as anything else than depth. You're basically looking at a 4th or 5th starter, and depending on when Noah comes back and where you put him behind Noah, whether it's the 4th or 5th starter or whatever you want to do there. But yeah, you're right. Injuries happen, and that's why they got these guys in the back end of the rotation. Don't forget, they also did that last year with Waka and Porcello, but that didn't really work out too well.
Yeah, because those guys are not major league caliber pitchers. I know the Rays signed Walker, so they'll put their voodoo magic on him, and he'll find a way to be solid. But going into last year with Waka and Porcello, you kind of knew these two are going to be an issue.
Yeah, and don't forget, some of our fans were also hyped to get him too. But I didn't see it. But it is what it is. We had them, and they didn't work out. Now they're gone. They're gone for a reason. But yeah, no, I agree. Injuries happen, and setting Yamamoto and Walker, and then also having Peterson. It's awesome. Peterson was awesome for us last year. So let's continue. Let's hope he just continues doing that, and that'll be great. Let's get to a question here that Matt has. He has an interesting question. He says, who's your leadoff hitter, Nimmo, McNeil, or something else? So I don't know. I haven't really thought about the structure of the lineup yet, but if I'm going off the fly, I really do like Nimmo in the leadoff spot because he can get on base at will. He gets either hit by pitch or he gets a walk, and you see him speeding down to first base and always with a smile on his face. He just gets on base. I love it. I wouldn't be mad if they were to keep kind of like a lineup that they had last year, where they had Nimmo first and McNeil batting second for a little while, and then also they had it the year before. That's pretty good lineup. And now you add in Lindor to the mix. Where are you going to put him? But 1 and 2, you can't really go wrong. Nimmo, McNeil. What do you think?
Yeah, I would hit Nimmo lead off simply because he's the best on base guy on the team. He's ridiculous. He strikes out a little bit more than you would want, but every single at bat this guy has, it's 7-8 pitch at bat, taking close pitches, fouling pitches off, getting on base a ton. I would hit him lead off. Um, I don't know who I would hit second. It's between McNeil and Lindor for me. I don't really. You can make an argument either way. I would be fine with it. The thing with me is, if you hit McNeil second, Lindor hits third, Conforto hits fourth. Three of your top four hitters are left-handed. You know, so what you can do, you can go Nimmo, Lindor, McNeil, Alonso, Conforto. I feel like that's a really good top five. I prefer Alonso hitting cleanup over Conforto.
Mhm.
You know, it's just you've got Alonso might hit 50 home runs again. You know, and Conforto's a great hitter too. Don't get me wrong, but I'd probably Conforto. Alonso is probably more of a power bat. Um, that would be my top five, and then you can go Dom, and then JD McCann. You can do that. That would be the 8, and then of course the pitcher. No DH, so the pitcher will hit. But
I heard that deep sigh.
yeah. So, but that would be mine. I wouldn't argue with Nimmo, McNeil, and then you have Lindor, Conforto, Alonso, Smith, JD McCann. I wouldn't argue with that. Either way, the lineup is going to score a ton of runs. So I saw somebody the other day say the top three should be McNeil, Alonso, Conforto. I was like, whoa. But it makes sense. Three of your best hitters getting the three most at bats. It makes sense. So there's a ton of ways you can align the lineup, the batting order, and likely they score a bunch of runs no matter what way you order them, unless you're like hitting the pitcher first, which is like, no, don't do that.
See, the way I play baseball and I think of a lineup is you always want the person that gets on base most hitting first. Then you generally want somebody that's going to put the ball in play hitting second, because you want the contact person to move the person over from first to second. Then you want your basic overall hitter hitting third, because you know he's gonna come up. He's gonna come up. The person who just got on base, which is the leadoff guy, will probably be on second. You can get him over and with the single or whatever, and then your overall power hitter would be fourth, and then you have somebody fifth hitting behind your number four hitter just in case. You know, a good bat. That's my way of thinking and my way of constructing the lineup. So that way, I would say that's why you put Nimmo first and then McNeil second, just because you have two really strong and good hitters up back to back, to where you know one of them is probably going to get on base. You know, it's just going to happen, and that's just a good way to start off the lineup. And then from there, you just do what you want. Like you said, it'd probably be best to go, you know, righty lefty if you can switch it up. If you can do that, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah, Robert here in the comments has good points about the defense. I mean, the team, Sandy, kind of got screwed without a DH, because you get the DH, it's a really simple fix. You sign Jackie Bradley. I believe if they agreed to the DH long before, Jackie Bradley would be a Met. Nimmo is your left fielder. Dom is your first baseman. Alonso is your DH. Then you'd have Lindor at short, and I guess you can live with you. In that case, you can live with JD's defense at third. But now they just kind of got screwed with no DH. So you have a corner outfielder in center, a first baseman in left, and really a DH at third. It's going to be an issue. They've kind of gone with the approach of, okay, let's just score more runs than you, which is kind of the approach you have to go in this scenario. But the no DH, we're probably the team that has gotten hurt the most with no DH in the National League, and we would have benefited the most with a DH. So it just kind of is what it is. Hopefully it's just a one-year thing, and next year and the years moving on, we have a designated hitter in both leagues.
I hope so, man, because I swear every year is like either the gods, the baseball gods are, you know, frowning upon us, you know, they don't like us, or the league does something to where it's like, this is for the Mets not to succeed. You know,
Yeah, and
it just feels like that. You know,
this
say
is
what it is.
this is an interesting point that I've seen a couple times, and I'm going to ask everybody in the chat and you here, what do you feel about McNeil at third and Guillorme at second, and JD being the big bat on the bench?
So who would be at third? Sorry.
McNeil would be at third, Guillorme would be at second, and JD would be on the bench.
I didn't like McNeil at third. When McNeil was at third, we spoke about this maybe like 3 weeks ago. They actually practiced him and Alonso bouncing the ball to Alonso's chest because he couldn't make the
Yeah,
routine
he couldn't
throws.
make he couldn't make the throw for like a week, but like
Yeah,
his numbers, when you look at like defensive run saved and outs above average, and those metrics, they're better at third than at second.
yeah, I do know that, but I think I think if we're going to go with Smith and left, I think it would be best to go with JD at third. I mean, I'm just saying because JD's bat is just so important, and then also Smith's bat can't is important as well to our lineup. If we're gonna go with, okay, we're gonna score more runs than you, then let's go with the people that are gonna score the more runs in the lineup. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
just go with JD at third and McNeil at second, and that's fine.
Yeah,
You
you can't go halfway with the approach of, okay, we're gonna sacrifice defense and outfield, but on the infield we're gonna do this and try to get the most out of it. Like if you're going with, okay, we're gonna score more runs than you, then go all out with it. Go all in with, okay, JD's at third, Dom is in left, Nemo's in center. Villar's is solid bat off the bench. So I agree with you. That was just like a proposition that I've seen a couple times. Was interesting
yeah.
to get your thoughts.
Yeah, if we're gonna go all in, don't go halfway because
Yeah.
it's just not gonna work if we go halfway. And then I saw another thing here. Robert said McNeil like second, keep him there. Yeah, I like McNeil. McNeil is fine at second. That's his normal position. That's what he was playing though in Double A, and that's what he's used to playing. So leave him at second. I mean, if Cano's not gonna be there, the next person up would be McNeil, and he fits right in. Um, let's see some of the other comments here. Uh, don't you think having a universal DH hurts us? That's what Charlie
No,
said.
no,
No,
not
it
at
makes
all.
our team so much better.
Yeah.
Having a universal DH means we don't have Dom in left, and we don't have to worry about his defense. We saw what happened, including that play into where he ran into a wall face first. That was a scary sight to see. Thank God he didn't really hurt himself.
Mhm.
And then John also says we have the depth this year. Yes, we do. Something we have not had in a very long time is depth, and we do have it this year with the signings that we've made. And it's interesting to see as far as how are they going to play it, how are they going to give the nights off to some people. So I would be assuming that they probably put Amora or Pilar in second, and they put Nimmo on left, and then to give Alonso a day off, they put Dom at first. They would play it that way, and then probably the other way around as far as having Dom a day off, meaning Alonso at first, Pilar or Amora at center, and then Nimmo at left. Just to give Dom a day off too. But more than likely, we're going to see, Dom at left. He's probably going to be the starting left fielder opening day, more than likely.
Yeah,
90%.
and Pilar really is not a good defender anymore.
Yep.
Really, in center, he's at this point is similar to Nimmo, and we're talking about moving Nimmo to left. So they signed him to be the right-handed bat that starts against left-handed pitching. I mean that's what he is now, and Villar is not a good defender either. Guillorme is the do-it-all defender in the infield now. Villar is really your speed guy that can hit a little bit, but over the last couple of years, his defense has not been good at all. So it's been interesting to see how they've approached this. They're really just going for hitting. I mean that's really it. Villar's probably, with the second base rule being back in the 10th inning, he's probably the guy pinch running. But he'll get his starts. It'll be a lot of mix and matching, like you said. Pilar will get a start here. There will be days where Alonso gets a day off and Dom is at first. JD getting a day off, and you see Villar get a start, or Guillorme, etc. So it'll be a lot of movement. A lot of these guys can play multiple positions. We've seen, McNeil at third, Seaman left too. So maybe we see that. I don't know. but these guys can move around quite a bit. Not sure they'll be good, but
Yeah.
they can move around. So it's what we're gonna have to live with.
As long as he makes another play like he did in I think 2019, to where he
Yeah.
went into the actual fencing they have up, or the wires they have up, and he made that play going into the crowd. That was awesome. He looked like a flying squirrel. That was great.
Yeah.
um, let's see another comment here that Matt says. MLB came out and said that if you're a pitcher who has a perfect game going into extras and the free runner at second scores with the pitcher giving up a base runner, he loses the perfect game. What do you think about that?
So this is the scenario where a pitcher has a perfect game and he's pitching a 10th inning.
That's probably
That's
not going to
probably
happen.
not going to happen unless you're talking
Yeah.
about a combined perfect game. But like pitchers barely go 9 innings now. So talking about them going 10 is a little interesting.
They barely go
They better
7.
go 8. Yeah. Like the few that actually go 7 are like DeGrom, Scherzer, Kershaw. That's really it. Again, and more, of course, a couple more. But it's very rare, And even with this rotation, Stroman might be a guy you see go 7 a couple times, but he's probably going to go 6. Walker might be a 6 inning guy. Whoever the fifth starter is, they might do something to where, it's just, for example, Peterson is in Syracuse and they kind of combine Lucchesi and Yamamoto, where Lucchesi goes the first time through the order and Yamamoto the second. So Lucchesi, best case scenario, goes like 3 and a third, whatever, 3, 4, and Yamamoto's after him. Or a bullpen game like an opener. Aaron Loop had a really funny comment about that. He was like, somebody asked him, what do you feel about being an opener? He's like, man, I love it. Why not just pitch 1 inning and then go back into the dugout and drink some beers with the guys? Like, it was great.
That's awesome.
But you're gonna see the Mets use some openers. They're gonna do some of the new age stuff that you've seen the Dodgers and Rays do.
Yeah, the Rays.
That is something that is going to start to happen here. We actually have an analytics department now. Last year it was 2 guys. It's way more than that now, and in the future it will be more. So that's going to happen. You're going to see openers. The fifth starter, like I said, it might be Lucchesi starting for 3 innings and then Yamamoto after him. There will be a lot of different things that we as fans watching the Mets have not seen a lot from the Mets, but we've seen from other teams that the Mets will start to incorporate this year.
Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Steve. Because Lord, have we been hurting and missing some of that, haven't we? It's just what it is. It's all around baseball. It's all around sports. People look at analytics now, and it's needed. And the franchises that are thriving have them, and not only have them, but have big departments and a lot of people doing it. It's about time the Mets caught up with the times, man.
Yeah, and they're gonna help with signing guys too. Like Yamamoto, this dude is all spin rates. Like last year, I'm not sure the Mets signed this guy or trade for him. This year, this is an analytics move. Like they're looking at him like, there's upside here. This fastball has this curveball has this. Very high spin rate guy. Lucchesi has like a curve, he calls it. His breaking pitch that he tunnels really well with his fastball. So you can't really, out of his hand, you can't really tell if it's the fastball or the curve until like very late. So that's another thing where you're looking at release points and spin rates, getting break on pitches. Taijuan Walker, another one. Like he improved his break on his curveball by 5 inches last year. That's another one that's an analytical move where you're looking at these underlying things and you're like, okay, this guy had this last year, but we believe his ERA can be even better because he has the upside because his spin rate is this, or his spin rate is in like the 90th percentile, or right-handed batters really didn't do much against him last year. So these underlying statistics, Trevor May's another one. I can go on and on, but it's really helped. For sure.
Yeah, it does. It really does, and it goes beyond just looking at the player and seeing what he's done. It's looking at his pitches and his what he throws and the spin rate he throws it with, and what it can get to with development from the right people, and also not only the coaching, not only the coaching, but also the starters that you have in line already that can help that person and that pitcher be better. Just like we talked about with DeGrom. Don't think that these guys aren't going to want to watch him and learn from him because he is the best pitcher in baseball, and who better to learn from, so
Mhm.
they're going to want to be on their A game, and they're going to want to, show that they have the stuff so they can stick around, because this is only year one of a change and a rebuild. Let's say rebuild because of what we had last year and what we have now going into this year. It's kind of like, the Avengers movies where you see, where you see Captain America go into the final battle with Thor, and then not Thor, excuse me. What's his face? The bad guy. Anyway, and he hears the guys talking over the radio, and they all assemble. You hear the music. This is what the Mets are coming to be, man. It's exciting, and it's awesome. I can't wait to see it, and hopefully it continues into next year, and we keep making signings, and we keep improving the team, not only in the analytics department, like we said, but also bringing in superstars. Continuing to do that. That'll be fantastic.
Yeah, and Matt has something here on Nito. Are you comfortable with Nito as the backup catcher? Yeah. Honestly, the guy, the catching situation is so bad in Major League Baseball, he might start for a few teams, simply not because of his bat, but he is a fantastic defender. He's really good at framing, stealing strikes, which is probably something in a couple of years that if robot umps come, is not going to be really a thing. But for him, he's great at it. 2 years ago, right, 2019, I think it was, like Syndergaard, he didn't want to throw to Wilson Ramos. He wanted to throw to Nito because the difference in Ramos to Nito in terms of stealing strikes was enormous. Nito's great at it. Ramos was terrible. McCann is pretty good at it. The thing with McCann is, he'll provide a bat too. Like it was a nice move. But Nito behind him is fine. When he starts, you're not going to expect like this dude to tank one, hit a couple home runs or whatever, when he plays. But he's going to provide great defense. So it's fine in that sense. And it's not like we don't have like a bunch of great hitters on our team anyways, to where we can live with Nito starting, once or twice a week.
Yeah, I mean, the catcher is the hardest position that you can play day in and day out, just because of the abuse it takes on your body, your legs, and your knees. And just giving McCann days off and having Nito in there, yeah, it's gonna hurt us maybe a little bit offensively, but defensively he's really good. And he can fill that position, like you said, for a couple of days. And like we said, injuries happen. Hopefully, they don't happen, and not none of them to our bigger stars. But if something, God forbid, does happen, having Nito there is fine. But like you said, I'm just happy Ramos is gone, because you could see some of the games, where there was a throw I think Conforto made or something, and he couldn't get down enough to make the tag. And
That was in Philly, right?
Yeah, I think that was it. You could see we lost the game because of that run.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a game-winning run. I think that
was a walk-off. Yeah.
Yeah, that was walk-off. Yeah, and you could see just over time, knees give out, age. It is what it is, and now we got McCann back there. John asked a question here. Who do you think the Mets draft in the first round this year? To be honest, I haven't kept up with who or what or when, where, but you got an answer for that?
I don't know. I will say I recently got to call some IMG Academy games because I'm here in Florida, and James Wood, outfielder at IMG, he's really good. This dude is a great bat, left-handed hitter, probably outfielder, but he can hit. So I would look out for him. I think the Mets are picking 10th. So I look out for him. Elijah Green is the year after, and he's going to be he's going to probably be a top 5 pick. That guy's a stud, Elijah Green. But James Wood is really good. It's somebody I would look at. I know I mentioned outfielder, and you're like, whoa, we already have outfielders. You don't draft for need. in the draft because you draft James Wood, he's not going to be a big leaguer in 3-4 years, maybe. Best case scenario is like 2.5. So by then, who knows? We might have a need in left field. So, but that's another guy to look at. He's got a great stick. He hit a 2-run home run the opposite way. Lefty was a slider away, and he hit it out to left field. Like the guy, it was absurd.
Really?
Exactly. So, Matt, you draft the best available player. Because what happens is you start stacking up this talent. You don't draft need, like you don't go, okay, we need a third baseman, so let's draft a third baseman. No, like we might need a third baseman, but the best player available is a starting pitcher. You take the starting pitcher because
this is
in
not
a couple years,
not
starting
football.
pitcher might be a need, or you take an outfielder. It might be a need eventually. So exactly, Matt. And do I think Matt Allen is up in 2022, 2023? I don't know. These pitchers, he's one of them that could be a fast track to the big leagues. He was one of the best starters in his class. He was one of the guys that we stole with the second round pick, went over slot on him, was able to sign. He's probably one of the most excited guys in the farm system I'm excited about. He could be an ace or top of the line pitcher. JT Ginn is another one.
Yeah.
The guy, we drafted him last year. He should return mid-season this year from Tommy John. That's another one to look out for. I don't know, 2022 or 2023. It kind of depends. Hopefully he stays healthy. Hopefully that arm stays healthy because he could be on track for 2022 and then something happens with his elbow and then you don't see him until 2024. So hopefully he stays healthy and he's up in a couple of years. If McCann is the catcher for next 4 seasons, well, McCann is not going to block Alvarez, and Alvarez might not be ready in like 3-4 years anyways. What is likely the scenario with these two is McCann is the catcher for 3 years, Alvarez is ready, and they're kind of splitting the time. I don't want to say splitting the time because you're not going to split time with your what I think is the Mets' best prospect. But he's going to come up, and McCann has had a cheap deal. It's 10 years, $10 million a year. Sorry, not 10 years. That's Lindor.
Hopefully,
$10 million a year is fine. I mean, Cohen can take that as a backup for a year. He's worth $14 billion. But this is a scenario where McCann might be the catcher for 3 years, 3.5, and Alvarez comes up and like, okay, this dude is the guy now. He's gonna play, and McCann is gonna hopefully be the mentor to him. I hate that word because the Wilpons overused it so much. Chris Lewis probably agrees. Chris Lewis, also another one, creator of 90% Mets. He's the man. But you're likely looking at a scenario where McCann is at the end of his contract and Alvarez is coming up, and you're like, okay, Alvarez is going to be the guy soon, and McCann is not going to be re-signed. That's probably best case scenario.
Yeah, and let me touch on a couple of your things that you talked about here about Matt Allen, and also again, it would be fantastic to have him up in 2022. And the reason being, if we can have them up maybe for a postseason run and bring them out of the pen for some arms that some teams haven't seen, to get some critical outs, just like the Dodgers have done with their prospects. That'll be fantastic. Just to also get them some looks at in the postseason and also against some bats up in the show. That'll be great. Now, if it doesn't happen, okay, I would say 2023. Let them come up. Let them learn behind the Grom. Who better to learn from? I mean, we continue to say that, them being young and taking all that information in. It can only really help them, As far as who to draft, I mean, if you say Wood, let's go Wood, whatever. Right now I don't know any of the prospects. If you say he's good, I'm good with it. As far as, going for need, you don't go for need. This isn't football. You don't draft the person to put him in right away, or, to sit them 1 year and then go in the next. They're at least 3-4 years out, and you develop them. And then if you can use them as a trade piece, you do. But if you don't, you can develop them and then have them in the future in your pocket. That's fantastic. Just like all the other franchises and good franchises have been doing for a while now, just like the Dodgers have been doing with their talent, that would be fantastic. And then to Alvarez's point, Yeah, like Justin said, McCann will probably be around for 3 years, if not the full four. But just like we're saying with any other position, why not have Alvarez learn a little bit from McCann if he can, and if he can pick up some good stuff, great. And if he doesn't, I mean, that's why he's our number one prospect right now, and that's why we only really signed McCann for 3-4 years because we have Alvarez, and we know he's going to be the future.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it'll ever be a case where McCann is blocking Alvarez from playing time. I think it's something where Alvarez is probably ready, like you said, towards the end of McCann's deal, and he comes up and he's the guy.
Yeah, yeah. Matt said also with DH, McCann could play 50 to 20 games at DH if needed when Dom Alonso needs rest. Yeah, that's a good point. If that were to happen, and at the latter part of his contract, and then we want to slot in Alvarez into the full-time catcher, and then have McCann as a DH, or the other way around, because Alvarez is known for his bat, so he can DH as well. So you can do that too, depending on which way you want to go that game or who's on the mound.
Yeah, exactly. The Mets lineup is just so stacked. They have a bunch of options with the DH. That's a fine one. It helps McCann to he doesn't have to be behind the plate for 9 innings. That definitely helps. So yeah, that for sure.
Yep. All right, guys, you got any more questions you want to ask us? Anything you want us to put on the show? I'm going to give you a couple minutes here before we log off. I also want to let you guys know, this is what, our 4th or 5th show there, Justin.
I think it's my 3rd and the 4th overall.
Yeah, so we're going to continue doing these every weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. Sorry we didn't post actual reminder or anything, but we will next week, for this coming week, for this next weekend, as far as what we're going to talk about and we're going to be chatting. This is just something we put together quick so we can chat, some Mets talk with you guys, as we enjoy and we love our Mets, and we're happy to finally see them on the field, and hopefully we get to see them live pretty soon. This Corona stuff goes away slowly but surely, hopefully. So, hope to see them again. There's a couple of things that just came in here. Charlie said, DH cheapens the game for me, or cheapens the game for him. Yeah, I read that wrong. And then John said, Jose Martinez has light tower power. Yeah,
that guy can hit. He can hit.
Yeah, he can. I just don't want to see him on the field. I don't want to see him in any outfield position anywhere. He can definitely hit. So we're probably going to bring you another live. We're going to try to go with Justin, either Saturday or Sunday, depending what's better for both of us. Generally about this time, 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern, since he's in lovely Florida and doesn't have to deal with the weather we have to deal with. He's fine, and we'll let you guys know. Did a question just come in?
Yeah. Brian's like, if we sign Lindor long term, which we should, of course, he'll come up and play second. It's a long time from now. The thought around Mauricio is he, just because of his body type and getting bigger and stronger as he develops, might move to third. But it's a long time from now. You're talking 3 years. We have no idea what the team is going to look like in 3 years. You have your guys that you are probably going to be on the team, Lindor, DeGrom, hopefully Conforto, etc. But the needs now are going to be completely different from the needs in 3 years. So you really can't project any of these guys in terms of where they're gonna play in 3 years. You can, it's with prospects. I mean, because things might happen. What if a first-round pick doesn't develop the way we think, and he's not the third baseman we think he's going to be, or this guy doesn't develop in the outfield, and he's a bust or whatnot. So a lot of things are going to be are up in the air. We have no idea what the team is going to look like in 3 years. We don't know what the needs are. We don't know what the prospects are going to look like either. So we'll see. But the thought around Mauricio is he will eventually move to third because of his body type. Not anything to do with needs on the Mets, just because of how he develops, how he gets stronger and bigger as he matures. So.
Yeah. And, don't forget, let's just go 3 years back. Who would have thought that the Mets would have traded Rosario? You know, Rosario was
Right.
supposed to be our future at shortstop. That didn't pan out, but thanks to him, we got a superstar now at shortstop. So who's to say that we don't trade one of our younger pieces for a piece that we're missing to get to the World Series or to win the championship? We can't say, So
Yeah.
you always have to keep that in the back of your mind. Just because we have a potential prospect doesn't mean that we can't flip him for a superstar like we did with, Rosario and Jimenez when we got Lindor. And then Matt also said Brett Beatty will be the third baseman come 2023. I hope so.
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah.
What if the Mets go out there and are like, okay, what if Chris Bryant has a huge year and Steve Cohen is like, let's just sign Chris Bryant? We don't know. We have no idea. He might not be a Met. Like you were saying, he might get traded for a bigger piece on a World Series run. We don't know. So we'll see. It is good that we have a lot of prospects to be excited about. And we're like talking about these guys like, okay, Matt Allen could be in the rotation. JT Ginn, Beatty, Mauricio, Alvarez, these guys to be like excited about and watch finally this year because there's going to be a season. But we'll see.
Yeah. Again, and we go back to this. This is year one, guys. Year one of Cohen taking over. Be patient. We're not going to flip the whole roster, even though we did like 3/4 of the roster this 1 year.
50% of I think a little less than 50% of the 40-man roster is different this year compared to last.
There you go. There's an actual number from Justin. So 50% of our roster is different. And we were happy going into last year with the roster that we had. So we should be even more happy and giddy going into this year with who we've signed, who we traded for, and who we have on the team. It's time to forget about who we didn't sign, who we didn't trade for, who we didn't get. Let's go and play the game of baseball with the team that we have, and the team that we have is a lot better and different than the team we had last year. What are your closing thoughts there, Justin? What do you got to say before I say bye to the people?
I believe tomorrow is the first full squad workout, and March 1st is the first spring training game. So it'll be fun to watch this team. It's a lot to be excited about, really. A ton to be excited about. This is a team that should be in the postseason. Probably one of the top 4 teams in the National League. I think right there with the Braves to compete for the division. I think it's close. You can argue either way, in my opinion. But it's an exciting team to watch. We're going to be able to start watching them next week in games. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So buckle up. Hopefully we get some extensions here. Lindor, Conforto, Syndergaard. We'll see. But it should be a fun season, and we're going to keep cranking these live shows out.
Yeah, and once we go into spring training and definitely the regular season, we want to bring you some more shows, whether it's reactions, recaps, or whatnot, whether it's series games or when something big happens, we definitely want to go live more. So if you guys want to see that, do me a favor, give us a like here, and then also share the hell out of this video so that we can get more Mets fans that are just as crazy as us, us loving the Mets as we do, and they could join us and talk crap or whatever they want to do here and share their ideas because we're all crazy. We're all crazy Met fans, and we all love our Mets. Let's go Mets, right?
Of course. LFGM.
There you go. I'm not going to say that, but let's go Mets. Hey, Justin, yeah. I'll see you next week, all right?
All right, for sure. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, man. See you later, guys.